Welcome to Suffolk Matters, where all of Suffolk County meets the men and women of Suffolk AME. News, opinions, and insights you won't hear anywhere else. Here's your host, the president of New York's largest independent union, Suffolk AME's Dan Levler.
Welcome to another edition of Suffolk Matters on Walk 97.5 and 94.3 The Shark, where Suffolk County meets the men and women of Suffolk AME. News and views you can't hear anywhere else.
So my guests this morning, Tracy Smith, she's from Port Jefferson School of Rock, joined by Marek, home band director, and two students, Lexi Baginski, Bill Impastato. And good morning to all of you. Thank you for joining us this morning. Really looking forward to talking about your program and especially your involvement in something special for us coming up. But just first and foremost, welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So, Tracy, I guess we should start just School of Rock, you know, what it is, how did it get started, what does it do in the world, and I'm aware, but for our listeners, you know, maybe a brief history lesson.
So the School of Rock has been around about 20 years. We are the world leader in music, performance-based music education. So basically, we combine private lessons with getting all of our students on stage. And we start at age 3.5 with a program called Little Wing, and we go all the way up to adults. So we have, 65-year-olds in our program as well as 3.5-year-olds.
I think it's important to know, like, one of the best workouts you can give your child's brain is music. It is something that engages all parts of your brain. Anyone who's ever asked me, you know, just casually in conversation, I'm thinking about maybe I'll put my kid in such and such class, or maybe I'll get them piano lessons. Every time I say music, you know, you want a bright brain, you want a good workout mentally. Music's the way to go, and it's awesome that you guys get, you know, folks so young involved. But on top of that, you know, I mean, we just recently talked about this past week. You guys go out with your students and perform live at places. So recently you were at the Brick House Brewery in Patchogue playing shows for people. And I know from personal experience, when you walk in and you see these performances, you would have no idea. You would think this is just what a talented group, right? You know, and I think it's just important to get out there, that people know that this is more than a hobby for most people, and a lot of people have aspirations inside the music business. This is a great way to get started.
It also really helps the kids to gain confidence, team building skills. And one thing that I like to tell parents too, when they come in and they just want to sign their kids up for lessons,
Right.
You would never have your child take baseball batting practice or batting lessons without playing a baseball game. So it's really important to get the kids into that interactive.
I am hugely a fan of music, something that, you know, I've been involved in myself personally for a number of years. Like I said, 13 was the age I was when I first, you know, jumped into a studio and tried to, you know, do a little something. But music is language, right? But it isn't. It's a way of communicating. But it's not quite so tangible. But when musicians interact, it's a conversation. And, you know, for folks that are really into music, and you could think of, and I could probably name a few bands, but I don't want to date myself. You go see them live. Like maybe you listen to their, you know, pre-recorded material, and you're like, that's great. You see them live, and you're blown away because of the energy they have, that they play off of each other and the audience and everything else. So, I just love that you're offering this experience and getting people the opportunity to not just, you know, get lessons and learn their craft a little bit better, but giving them the opportunity to work with other folks and get out there and perform with people. So I think that's great. And I do want to talk about, you know, we talk about at the beginning, you know, an event that's coming up for us that is special, and you guys getting involved, and that's the May Day Music Festival coming up on May 14th. One of the things that we envisioned in this whole process is there's got to be something for everyone. You know, the core of what we were doing here is we wanted to show the world what it is unions can do for people in the community, right? You know, who union people actually are. So when you go to the show and the people that are there, you're going to meet a lot of union folks. But it was important to be holistic about the day and provide for everyone. And so we started talking about different ways. People are going to come down, they're going to bring their kids. What better way than to show them that, there is a path to, these bigger things. We all hear, parents telling their kids, you can grow up and be anything you want. Well, now they're standing there and looking at people that they can identify with. That's in their generation, and they see them up there doing an amazing job. It really was something, a point of pride for me in 2019. Folks approaching me after the concert and saying, "I got my ticket. I got there. I went in front of the School of Rock, and I did not realize that there was anything else." And they were more than thrilled. I mean, they really were phenomenal performances, great energy. Great playing, all of that stuff was awesome. Someone had to go over and tell them, hey, there's also another stage over here, and then, the national acts are coming in over in this area, and, whatever. So just kudos to you guys and what you do.
Thank you so much. We were so thrilled to be there, and the kids had such a blast all day long. And it really gave them an opportunity to kind of get around and watch other bands and professionals.
Yeah.
So that really inspired them as well.
So let's talk a little bit more about School of Rock, and maybe let's just talk about who are your students? What do students look like? I know you talked about having some younger folks in there, but what do the programs look like, and who are the people that go to School of Rock?
So we have a pretty diverse community of students. Starting with our youngest students, they just do the group. So basically, we kind of simplify our music education program for them. They get an opportunity to try every single instrument that we offer. So it's very open. They don't have to take a private lesson per se at those very young ages. It's just very interactive. And the teachers that we have running that program are working on early childhood development degrees. So they're really focused on that particular type of student. Then at age 7, that's when we start doing the private lessons and getting kids into a program called Rock 101. So those are our most beginner students that are actually learning a particular instrument and working in a band with that instrument and working together and going on stage. And then from there, they graduate into our performance program. And those kids come in and they do a 3-hour rehearsal every single week, coupled with a 45-minute private lesson.
Nice.
And then from there, they're able to try out for our house band, which Lexi and Phil are a part of our house band. And then we're able to send our house band students that are the most elite to our All-Star program, which the All-Star program is worldwide. And Matt is actually one of the judges this year, so he's representing our school really well and helping the international program choose those top 150 students to represent worldwide. Wow. There are 50,000 School of Rock students worldwide in 11 countries. So, and Lexi was one of our all-stars.
Nice.
So she's represented our school on the all-star stage.
Awesome. This is it's a big thing. It's again, when you're talking 50,000 students, that's
right. So it's a big network.
Yeah, it's awesome.
This year, out of the 50,000 students, I think we got 600 video submissions for auditions that we had to whittle down to get to the top. Yeah, I think it's 150 of them are gonna, maybe even less, honestly, are gonna end up making it. It's a very highly competitive program.
That's awesome. And Matt, just speaking about the program in general, as house band director, one, how long have you been at the school? And two, what's that work like? What do you do?
So I've actually been a part of School of Rock since 2009. I was a student first and then grew up through the program. And then after I graduated high school in 2015, I got hired, worked my way up, and just have been doing everything from I started off assisting with the Rock 101 classes. Now I'm directing shows, teaching guitar lessons, and directing the house band. And pretty much all that means is that I'm taking these kids, putting them in a group, and kind of giving them pep talks, confidence lessons to get them to perform on stage and come out of their shell. We'll also get them to work together as musicians to put out the best product working on. In the rehearsals, it's not so much about learning the individual parts as much as it is working on group dynamics, how to play together, how to communicate on stage, how to troubleshoot if an amp stops working mid-song, how to...
Been
like,
there, yeah.
Yeah, because you'll get some kids that look like they're a deer in headlights when their amp stops working. They look right at me, and it's like, fix it. And they have to just figure it out.
Yeah. And, it is interesting because, you spend years learning your craft, right? So let's say, you're someone playing guitar, and you practice guitar, and it's very different than being in a group setting and playing off of everyone else's strength, because at the end of the day, it isn't about just your playing. It is about the whole piece of music and, the energy you put out into the crowd, the energy the crowd brings back. So
it's a different form of communication that you have to figure out how to do that non-verbally, because you can't talk over a loud amplifier and a drum set. It kind of is a challenge.
Yes, absolutely. No, that's awesome. And Lexi and Phil, I just want to ask you, how long have you been students at the school, and how do you feel about what you've learned so far?
I've been at School of Rock for 6 years now, and I started in the normal program.
Sure.
And then graduated into house band, and then went to All Stars. And I think the thing that I learned the most at School of Rock was confidence. I came into School of Rock being that deer in headlights, afraid of my own shadow and really quiet, and then just performing on stage and meeting people who share the same passion as you and just love music as much as you do. And
sure,
I just found my own voice and was able to go really far with it.
That's awesome. It's awesome to to get into once you're in that mode and you're up there and you're deer in headlight and whatever, and you're just in that moment. That's nervous and deer in headlight and whatever, and you're just in that moment. That's awesome, especially after the show. You're like, wow, that was great. So and Phil, for you.
So I've been a part of School of Rock for the last 4 years, and this is my first year in house band. And for me, I feel like I've just learned how to really come out of my shell.
Sure.
My first performance, I just stood there and just tried my hardest to just get everything right.
Sure.
And now, really through Matt's teaching, I've learned how to express myself more and just open up to the world. Really,
that's awesome. It's awesome. And it's just look at today. Here we are. I don't know how many radio interviews you guys do, but guess what you're doing today, and you come in and that can be very intimidating for someone. I bet you I could go out on the street and ask 4 people to come up here, and they probably wouldn't say a word the whole time we were talking. So it's awesome to be able to just interact. It brings more confidence to your life than just the performance stuff. You get to believe in yourself because you get out there. You get to see the fruits of your labor. I think this is awesome. I really do. So I just want to talk a little bit about May Day, the festival that's coming up that you guys are participating in. I think it's going to be awesome. But Lexi and Phil, I just want to ask you guys: Are you going to be performing this year at the May Day Music Festival?
Yeah, and I performed at the one we did 3 years ago too, and it was by far my favorite show that we've ever done. I remember telling Matt and Tracy and everyone about how much we loved it, and it was awesome. So we're playing it again this year. We're so excited.
And out of curiosity, do you sit together and say, okay, these are the songs we want to perform? Or does someone say, here's the songs you have to perform? Is there leeway involved in this stuff? As a school in general,
it's a dictatorship disguised as a democracy, essentially. I like the input from the students, but overall, because it is an educational program, so a lot of them, they'll come with these ideas that some of them are great, and I'll go with it, and then other times some are less than good. I'll just put it politely, and I'll entertain it. But essentially, I'll just pick whatever's best for their education, but also promotionally. If you're playing at a music festival where it's mostly families, no one wants to hear a 15-minute prog metal.
Right.
So it's kind of, and that's what they want to play a lot of times. So
prog is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So you could slip in elements of prog into the set, but I wouldn't make a whole set a heavy prog set.
So it's a know your audience thing.
Yeah.
You want everybody's input, but they're also it still ends up having to be a great show.
Yeah, and that's something I try to have the kids really understand, because when they make their own bands outside of the school and everything, it's a good skill set to know what the right set is for where you're playing, and to really consider your audience. So.
Right, for sure. And so with that in mind, what type of music would we be expecting this year?
You could expect a wide range of stuff. We're doing everything from Bruno Mars to Guns N' Roses. So,
Nice.
yeah, and then everything in between. So pretty much we like to keep it fun, and because a lot of times when you got these shorter sets, you don't want to have many low points in energy. So it's just a lot of dancey music. And also it's the School of Rock. So we got a lot of classic rock, hard rock in there. And it's a good mix of covers.
Yes, and you know what? It's a good way to expose kids to the music of their parents, too.
Yeah.
So parents like it as well. That was another piece of feedback. Like, it was good to see my kid rock out to a song that I liked when I was little. So it's very cool. So, Tracy, this year we have a special act that will be on your stage. A 2023 artist, New York City, NYU-based band, Stolen Gin.
Yes.
So who's Stolen Gin, and what can we expect?
So Stolen Gin is a group of 5 NYU students. Some of them have just graduated, and some of them are still current students. They just played this past week in Washington Square Park to a
Nice.
huge crowd. So they're really kickstarting their band. I think they just had one TikTok that had 3 million
That's
views,
always good.
which
That's
is
always good.
pretty big. But they're a kind of a funk jam band. They draw inspiration. They're completely original music. They draw inspiration from Grateful Dead and also Daft Punk. So they really have they kind of have this dance / funk vibe. I love their music.
It sounds like an interesting blend. For
Yeah,
sure.
it's interesting.
That's a must see.
And the drummer works for us. He happens to be my son.
Oh,
Harry.
just happens to be.
Yeah, coincidentally.
That's awesome.
But he also is one of our drumming instructors. So I know the
Awesome.
kids are really looking forward to seeing their band.
And what a great name, Stolen Gin, right?
Stolen Gin, yes.
It sticks with you.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
And they do have a new song coming out called Tension Release.
Mm-hmm.
And that is going to be coming out on April 29th. And they're on all of the main streaming platforms. So Spotify.
So I know we talked a little bit before recording the show today, and we talked about some of the things that we're going to do for May Day. And, we could get into the petting zoo, and that seems just like generally interesting. But you guys had an idea as well, maybe to have an area where folks can come in and call it an instrument petting zoo. But why don't you share the idea? I think it's brilliant.
So I was thinking it might be a good idea for some of the younger participants at the festival to be able to take a look at some of the instruments. Maybe we could run some Little Wing classes, bring some sticks. They can, do some simple drum beats.
Sure.
And kind of get them excited to see what we offer
Yeah.
to our youngest students.
And not everybody gets that opportunity, right? Even if they're in like a school band, maybe the school that they're in doesn't have a guitar, right? And it's
Right.
getting them excited about music, seeing, you guys perform, seeing, how that all goes on. I am sure there's going to be a line of kids ready to, try and smack a snare drum or,
Right.
We
can bring some, some of the instruments that we use for our current rookies class and Little Wing classes and kind of do a little circle
Yeah.
at different times when the stage goes dark.
No, I think that's an excellent idea. I was excited to have you guys be partners the first time around, sight unseen, quote unquote. It was an excellent show. It was an excellent day in general. I am expecting more of the same, just because I know the energy. I can tell just by talking to you the energy and passion that you put into what this school is and what it produces. And I really do, Lexi. I really hope that this show for the people that are playing this year that it's an experience like you had in 2019, where you look back on that show and this what a great show that was.
Yeah, I think it will be.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I do have to mention just generally some of the lineup that's going to be there, including the Port Jefferson School of Rock. But we have our full lineup includes Spin Doctors, Deer Tick, the Smithereens with Marshall Crenshaw, so that's 2 for 1 there. Crash Test Dummies, David House and the Mermaid, Sahara Moon, the Dirty Vice Band, Cassandra House, Soundswell, Pete Mancini and the Hillside Airmen, Pretty Vacant, the famous Dr. Scanlon? The famous Dr. Scanlon Band, Stolen Gin, we heard all about that. I got to tell you, I'm really psyched about the concept. Jam bands, funky, but with like a Daft Punk vibe. I really think that's going to be awesome.
They have a huge following in New York City, so it's really great for you guys to give them the opportunity to come out here and do their thing.
Yeah, and then and we also have Melanie Morin, and in addition to all the support that you'll be giving the festival, Port Jefferson School of Rock also has a connection with one of the May Day performers, Cassandra House. Mm-hmm. And why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So Cassandra used to be one of our vocal instructors. So she was part of our staff really before she, while she was doing a lot of her gigging.
Sure.
And now she ended up leaving because she was getting so popular with her original music. So we were so excited for her.
Awesome. That's awesome.
She was awesome. We hated to lose her, but we were really happy for her and her success.
Well, she played in 2019 also and is back by popular demand. So
I heard she's going to be on the main stage this year.
Awesome.
So
Nothing
that's
wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and listen, guys, I just want to thank you all, Matt, Tracy, Phil, and Lexi, coming in, spending some time, maybe a little outside of your comfort zone, but I guess not really outside of your comfort zone because, we're just having a conversation and nobody actually has to play a complicated prog song. So it's just awesome to spend some time with you guys. I really am very excited to have you back at the show this year. I think it's going to be great. And, I don't know. This is good.
We're so excited that you guys asked us again. And, we're really looking forward to a great year. It's been such a hard time, for the past couple of years.
My Lord. Yeah.
With everything that's been going on in the world. So to see a big event again coming together, we're really excited to be a part of it.
That's awesome. And, I guess I didn't even really touch on that, but I guess the pandemic had some effect on how often you guys could get together.
It had a huge effect on
social
our
distancing
and on the kids.
Right.
And their ability to go out and do their thing on stage. So this is a really great opportunity, and we appreciate it.
I can tell you, I believe in 2019, and I believe this year, you're going to be inspiring new kids that are going to be at that show. They're going to look on stage, and they're going to realize, I can do this. You said I could be anyone I wanted, but I can see that I actually can, and I think that's awesome. So again, everyone, thank you for joining me. Appreciate you carving out the time and having this conversation. And to our listeners, we'll speak to you next week. Marshall Crenshaw, so that's 2 for 1 there. Crash Test Dummies, David House and the Mermaid, Sahara Moon, the Dirty Vice Band, Cassandra House, Soundswell, Pete Mancini and the Hillside Airmen, Pretty Vacant, the famous Dr. Scanlon? The famous Dr. Scanlon Band, Stolen Gin, we heard all about that. I got to tell you, I'm really psyched about the concept. Jam bands, funky, but with like a Daft Punk vibe. I really think that's going to be awesome.
They have a huge following in New York City, so it's really great for you guys to give them the opportunity to come out here and do their thing.
Yeah, and then and we also have Melanie Morin, and in addition to all the support that you'll be giving the festival, Port Port Jefferson School of Rock has also has a connection with one of the Mayday performers, Cassandra House. And why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So Cassandra used to be one of our vocal instructors. So she was part of our staff really before she, while she was doing a lot of her gigging.
Sure.
And now she ended up leaving because she was getting so popular with her original music. So we were so excited for her.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
She was awesome. We hated to lose her, but we were really happy for her and her success.
Well, she played in 2019 also, and is back by popular demand. So
I heard she's going to be on the main stage
that's
this
awesome.
year. So
Nothing
that's awesome.
wrong with that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and listen, guys, I just want to thank you all. Matt, Tracy, Phil, and Lexi. Coming in, spending some time. Maybe a little outside of your comfort zone, but I guess not really outside of your comfort zone, because we're just having a conversation and nobody actually has to play a complicated prog song. So it's just awesome to spend some time with you guys. I really am very excited to have you back at the show this year. I think it's going to be great. And yeah, I don't know. This is good.
We're so excited that you guys asked us again, and we're really looking forward to a great year. It's been such a hard time, for the past couple of years.
My Lord. Yeah.
With everything that's been going on in the world. So to see a big event again coming together, we're really excited to be a part of it.
That's awesome. And, I guess I didn't even really touch on that, but I guess the pandemic had some effect on how often you guys could get together.
It had a huge effect on
social
our business
distancing and
on
yeah,
the kids,
right,
and their ability to go out and do their thing on stage. So this is a really great opportunity, and we appreciate it.
I could tell you, I believe in 2019, and I believe this year, you're going to be inspiring new kids that are going to be at that show. They're going to look on stage and they're going to realize, I can do this. You said I could be anyone I wanted, but I can see that I actually can, and I think that's awesome. So again, everyone, thank you for joining me. Appreciate you carving out the time and having this conversation. And to our listeners, we'll speak to you next week.